Okay, I know the Switch 2 is already out, but guys, I created the Ultimate Switch 1 Joy-Cons. Like I said, I already know the Switch 2 is out. Why the hell am I building the Ultimate Joy-Cons for the Switch 1? I still love my Switch OLED. I actually still play with it. I use it to play a lot of my like 8-bit, 16-bit games and like Stardew Valley here and there on the Switch OLED because I just love that OLED panel over the LCD panel on the Switch 2. The Switch 2 LCD panel isn't bad at all, but the OLED will always destroy out of every scenario. So yes, I created the Ultimate Joy-Con. Why would you want to create it? I was bored. I reached out to Extreme Rate, one of my favorite companies. They reached back. They said, let's do it. Let's create the Ultimate Joy-Con. So I gave them the things I wanted, and they sent them to me. They're the GOATs. They're the reason why this video is happening today. This video isn't sponsored by any way, but they did send the product, so thank you again to Extreme Rate. I love their products, and if you guys plan on modding your consoles or handhelds with the custom shells, go hit up Extreme Rate down below. You guys use code Jay'sWorld to get 10% off any of your guys' purchases. I got you. They just came out with the Switch 2 shell mod. So if you guys want to pre-order that, go right now down in the description. Use code Jay'sWorld to get 10% off your purchase. Alright, without further ado, let's continue on with the video. So when I hit up Extreme Rate, I told them that I wanted to make a very specific colorway for my Switch Joy-Cons because I had an extra pair of white ones lying around. They're dirty. The white was already starting to turn a little dark and brown. I couldn't change that, so let's just switch it out with this. And the colors I went with were very similar to one of my favorite games growing up as a kid, and recently, because of the collection, the Mega Man Battle Network series. I made one Joy-Con to make it look like Mega Man's colorway, which is blue and red. You also could have done yellow, but I thought red looked better than yellow. I also went with his counterpart, or his like enemy slash friend, Proto Man. Proto Man is the GOAT actually in this series. I actually love Proto Man in this game. I went with a red and purple. He has like a lot of purple and red. I didn't want to go, he also has like his symbol, which is black and white. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to add a little color to it. So we went with those two colors, and they were heavily inspired by Mega Man Battle Network. If you guys love the game, you guys gotta hit the like button. That game is just sensational. You guys need to get the collection. It's just too fun. So Extreme Rate said to grab everything that looked interesting for this build. So I went with the colors, the buttons, and instead of the left Joy-Con having just its regular button D-pad, they have a D-pad button mod where it gives the whole Joy-Con a D-pad. Yes, it's a little stiffer than I'd like, but it does work, and it's still a whole lot better when you're playing like 2D platformer games. I still use the D-pad over the joystick. So yeah, this is a really cool mod to have. So if you guys are looking for a D-pad mod for your Joy-Con, Extreme Rate's got your back. And lastly, the one thing that did catch my eye was actually changing the dock. Yeah, you remember your Switch OLED dock? It's just a shell down. It's nothing. Extreme Rate makes a compact, smaller version of your actual Switch and Switch OLED dock. Absolutely crazy. There's an LED mod one. There's just a clear, atomic purple, black, and then white. This is really cool. This mod actually wasn't hard, but this wasn't actually for this video. I will show you the process a little bit. This was just for a short and a TikTok. I just thought this was very interesting to add to my Ultimate Switch OLED. I know in the thumbnail it says Hall Effect thumbsticks. I did buy Hall Effect thumbsticks. This isn't from Extreme Rate. Extreme Rate does not sell Hall Effect thumbsticks. I bought them separately. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I had this in mind. I wanted to put Hall Effect thumbsticks on my Joy-Con so they would never drift. By the time I got everything in, I had got the thumbsticks first. They disappeared. I don't know where they went. I literally scoured my room, could not find these damn thumbsticks anywhere. So let's just pretend we put Hall Effect thumbsticks into the Joy-Con because that makes it the ultimate Joy-Con. Just know, I clickbaited you guys. I didn't put them in because I lost them. And I had no patience in waiting a whole nother week and a half because I ordered them from AliExpress. They're a whole lot cheaper. But if you guys do want to get the Hall Effect thumbsticks, I'll link it down in the description below so you guys can grab them. They were like $2 or $3. So it's better to get them there than on Amazon because Amazon sells them for like 15 to 20 bucks. So you're saving yourself a couple bucks. Yes, you have your tariffs and the shipping, but it's still a whole lot cheaper than the actual Amazon order. So after the Hall Effect thumbsticks, I wanted the custom shells, the custom buttons, and then I also wanted their LED button mod for the Joy-Con, which I thought was kind of unique and insane. I've never seen something like this. I haven't seen a lot of people flaunt their Nintendo Joy-Cons with LED mods on them. I said, Extreme Rate, just send those puppies over here. They sure did deliver. There are downsides to this LED button mod, and I'll explain to it later on. So if you guys want to just get to the why it kind of sucks. Go towards the end of the video. That's why I'll explain a lot of the downsides, the cons, the pros. Let's get into this video further with the process. And this is just a disclaimer. This video is not a tutorial on how to shell swap and mod your Joy-Cons. Extreme has a whole channel dedicated to all their videos and tutorials for each of their mods. Be cautious. You will need a lot of patience for this entire mod because it was pretty hard and we did lose a Joy-Con on the way out. So like I said, this isn't a tutorial video. I will link all the videos I watched down in the description below. Shout out to Extreme again for their videos. They're actually really good. You just have to really pay attention and really have the patience. So without further ado, I started off with the left Joy-Con. To me, this was for some weird reason the hardest one. I don't know why. It was. This was also the one that I was going to be adding the D-pad button mod, which is just the shell. I'm not changing any buttons. I'm not changing anything on the board itself. I'm just swapping over the shell from it being a 4-button D-pad to a 1-piece D-pad, like the original stock D-pads. And just a disclaimer as well, a lot of the footage I was recording on my phone, I was having hiccups and interruptions on the recording, so a lot of it was lost for this first part of the video, which is the left Joy-Con. And that's fine. It was the one that I actually ruined one of the Joy-Cons. Yes, we did lose a Joy-Con. So like I said, if you're going to do this mod, have as much patience as you can and also be in a well-cooled room because I am here in California and we hit a last-minute summer heat wave and my AC went out, so I was sweating buckets while doing this mod. I am still sweating to this day because my AC unit is out. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you're in a comfortable space where you're going to be paying attention to your mods, because I literally kind of did this on my own. This is an extreme. They also do warn you that if you do this, this is on your own accords. They don't shove it down your throats. This is not easy. As we opened up the left Joy-Con, we started disassembling everything bit by bit the way the tutorial intended. I was following it. And like I said, I am doing multiple mods, not just one. I did the LED mod, the shell mod, and the button mod. So I needed to watch maybe 2 or 3 separate videos of those mods individually just to see. Essentially, if you're doing the exact same thing, I'm doing all these mods in one Joy-Con, you're going to want to detach everything. If you're just shell swapping, they don't recommend you detaching anything and just like taking out the skeleton of the Joy-Con and then transferring it into the new shell, which is really cool because you're giving yourself less of a chance to actually break your Joy-Con. With this mod that I did, you have to really just take everything out and just be very cautious and very patient on taking those ribbons out of the latches because they are tiny and very fragile. Any ribbon, latch / ribbon can be broken easily. Trust me, I've done this with PSPs, PS Vitas, 3DSs. I've seen it all. Latches and ribbons are janky, and they've always been janky for who knows how long. So once we exposed the entire thing, Extreme Ray did recommend you testing out the LED kit before fully disassembling the Joy-Con. So we did that the first time. And this is where we found the problem where I kind of broke everything. It was on my own accord. So they want you to test out the actual LED with their whole new power circuit, which you connect the LED power board to the actual latch on the Joy-Con, which the battery used to be plugged into, but you're plugging the LED in there, and then there's an adapter on the LED to plug in your battery to give it power. It's a little finicky, it's a little weird, but this is what happened to me. They didn't point this out or anything. This was just me just being impatient and just trying to be fast. I was actually putting in the battery piece into the latch the wrong way, and I was trying to force that thing down because it just didn't want to go in seamlessly without just one press. And I kept watching the video. I was like, why are they doing it so perfect? Mine is not going down. Is this a faulty wire? It wasn't. I was doing the whole thing backwards. And I literally was pushing it so hard to the point where I damaged side of the actual battery socket. It broke. And I was like, well, there you go. You ruined it. That's it. Video's over. So after putting that Joy-Con back together to see if it worked, it did work. Doesn't work wirelessly anymore. It doesn't charge. If you just connect it to your Joy-Con, you just connect the Joy-Con to your Switch and it works. So now it's just a faulty Joy-Con that I can use if I need an extra one to connect to my Switch. So luckily we had another Joy-Con to use and flipped everything. And I put everything the right way. So once we tested that and we saw the LED turn on, we were like, okay, cool. Now let's take everything out and put it onto the new shell, and then put the LEDs in the board. There's just a whole bunch of folding. It was a little overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It was very overwhelming. I was like, this is absolutely insane. So after we put all the buttons onto the new shell and we folded everything on the ribbon, we just had to put everything back together and just watch this tutorial slowly. And the camera view does change in these clips because the phone just went out. It just wasn't working. It was overheating. Everything just wasn't going my way. So I just switched to my shitty webcam, and that's why the angle just looks so bad. This is my streaming webcam. So just keep in mind, I was just trying to finish this up and close it up and call the left Joy-Con a success, hopefully. So after we were getting ready to finish up this left Joy-Con, I wanted to make sure we put in the actual battery socket right, the battery pack, the battery connector right. I just wanted to make sure everything was going perfect. And then I just turned it on really quick just to see, and it did work. Closed that thing up, and bam, we got our first left Joy-Con done. We did lose our left Joy-Con, but we did get it done. This one, for some weird reason, is a little harder to me, and I'll explain why, because the right Joy-Con was kind of a breeze. So if you're struggling with these mods and you're starting to get frustrated, I highly recommend you guys taking a step back. And when I came back for that right Joy-Con, it was a breeze. I was actually so confident that I didn't even watch the tutorial video. I was doing everything all on my own, taking everything. And this is one thing I was a little too confident or cocky about. I actually didn't even test the LEDs like they recommend you to. But I was like, I'm not going to do it. I think it's going to work. If the left one worked, the right one's going to work. So that was my gamble right there. Because if it didn't work, I would have to take the entire thing out and have Extreme Rate send me a whole nother kit, which would have been such a pain to do. But I was like, all right. So I was taking everything out. I swear to you, I didn't watch the tutorial. I literally was just trying to remember little things and just taking everything apart. But one thing you do have to remember on the right and left Joy-Cons, there are a few things different in each Joy-Con. Like this one actually, the right Joy-Con has the IR sensor and the Amiibo functionality and a Wi-Fi chip or some type of chip. I don't know what that thing does, but there's also a chip on there. I can't explain why I thought this one was easier, even though there was a whole lot more stuff inside the Joy-Con itself. Don't ask me why. It just worked. Maybe because my confidence was just too high. And I was just like, I got this. This is too easy. I've done several PSPs. I've done several PS Vitas, opening up, fixing them. I think I could do a Joy-Con. So that's what I guess how I went into it, this next one, and it worked. Did the same thing, same process, taking everything out, putting it onto the new shell, putting on the LEDs. But first I'm folding those flaps on the LEDs. There's a whole lot of folding. But it is necessary to get the LEDs in the proper upright position for your triggers, especially for the triggers. They have to be folded. It's weird, but it works. Put the IR sensor back, put the NFC chip, put the other chip in, put the battery back into the new socket, put the LED power onto the motherboard. I did it all. I even plugged in the battery to test it, and it worked like nothing. Like it was just like butter. So I was like, we're done. Screwed that puppy back on, closed it up, and messed around with the new LED feature on those Joy-Cons. Okay, now we're gonna get to the dock. The dock isn't really anything to like, oh, like I want to make a whole video on it. It's something just really cool to have. If you're tired of the big chunky docks that the Switch and the Switch 2 have, Stream Rate's got your back with this tiny compact version. There's like I said, there's an LED mod, there's the black and white, or just the clear one if you want. I just went with the clear one. I don't know, I didn't really want to do the LEDs. I just didn't think it was necessary for a Switch dock. So I was like, okay, let's just do this tutorial. This, like I said, I didn't want to get this for this video, and it's literally just a motherboard. Like this little tiny board. That's all that it has in there. There's no fan. There's nothing else besides this. And it's absolutely crazy to see that this is the thing that's causing our Switch to charge and to dock into a TV. I just found it fascinating how Nintendo can make something so big for something this small. Like it's literally just this. Absolutely crazy. I will give a scale on a 1 through 10 on how hard the actual mods were. And the Switch dock itself was probably a 5 out of 10. It wasn't hard, and that was it. And then putting it onto new stuff was kind of seamless, easy. The tutorial video was perfect. I had no complaints on this one at all. Now, when it comes to the Joy-Cons themselves, I'm rating this one a 8 out of 10. This is harder. it is a lot more to deal with, especially if you're doing the exact mods I'm doing. There are a lot of times where you're gonna rip or destroy the actual ribbons onto the motherboard, and that's sometimes how I felt. My fingers were too fat. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get this right. There's a lot of things that can go wrong while doing this mod. It's intense. Pros for everything I did in today's video. The compact Joy-Con is literally everything. There's no cons to this. I think this is perfect. It still has my LAN, it has my USB-C, HDMI, has the 2 USB ports. Everything that was on your Switch dock is on here. It's just smaller, which I do think this is a plus. So there is no cons to this mod. Yes, one of the cons, I guess you can say, is saying goodbye to your shell for your dock. But to be honest, I have my Switch 2, so I really don't care if I miss this. It's nothing to me. It means nothing to me. So yeah, there's that. When it comes to the pros of the Joy-Cons, customizing to what you like. You have a color pattern, you have a certain color you love. They have several colors for your liking to choose from, different button colors. You just have a whole lot of variety to customize to your liking. Like I said, this is a Mega Man Battle Network themed Joy-Con. I love the games and I got to make it thanks to the Extreme Raid's whole modding system. It's really cool. Yes, you get the LEDs on actual official Nintendo hardware. Like, this is Nintendo's Joy-Cons with LEDs. Not even Nintendo's doing stuff like this. Like, come on, that's something you can say, hey, my Joy-Cons have LEDs, yours don't. Exactly. Look at that. Another pro I have is the actual D-pad button mod. This gives you an original D-pad instead of the 4-button D-pad that Joy-Cons have. One of the cons about it is it's a little too stiff for my liking. It still works the way you want it to work. It just feels a little rough on my end. It feels kind of too hard to press sometimes. But when it comes to like Mega Man, Battle Network, and the Zero series, I haven't had a problem playing with these using the D-pad, so I'm not going to complain too much. It is a little stiff. Just let me know if you guys done this mod yourself and you do think yours is stiff as well, or is it just mine? I can't really tell. Right, the pros of the LEDs, they're cool. Like, you can change the colors. There's just a bunch of variety to change them to whatever you want. Like, there's just a bunch of colors. There's also a rainbow mode. Here's a really nasty con about it. These things don't turn off when you power off your Switch. So I'm assuming if they made some type of soldered version, they would be able to power off while your Switch is powered off. But they stay on while your Switch is actually turned off. Like, it's gonna drain your Joy-Con battery just leaving these on. And the other thing that is really bad about these is the only way to turn them off is you have to take them out of your Switch and hold down for 5 seconds on the SR and SLs. That turns off the LEDs. And I just find it very inconvenient of you having to take these out just to turn them off and on. And then another bad thing about this LED mod is when you turn them on, they always start with red. So if you want to have them, so I always have my Mega Man version on red, which is perfect because the buttons are red. But if I want my Joy-Cons on my right that are Proto Man, I want them to be purple. They start off with red. And I have to cycle through until I get like a purple or a pink every single time I want to turn these on. So it makes me not want to turn them on. It's a cool mod, like I said, but there's a lot of downsides to this. This thing doesn't really fully work with your actual Joy-Cons. You're kind of just manipulating the LEDs and they don't turn off when you want them to. But yeah, those are my pros and cons on this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. It's nothing crazy. It wasn't a very detailed video, a very quick video. I just wanted to show you my cool mod of this Proto Man, Mega Man, Switch OLED. It looks so clean. But now, I need you guys down in the comments to let me know, should I do it to my Switch 2? The pre-orders for the Switch 2 shell mod from Extreme Rates are out now for pre-order. Go hit the description, use code Jay'sWorld for 10% off your order. Let me know, do you guys think I should do it for a video? Comment down below, I'm kind of curious. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.